Welcome to The Core, where we're planting the seeds to financial success. I'm Colton Hibbs, Education Credit Union's Financial Health Coordinator, and thrilled to have you join us on the podcast today. In each episode of The Core, we explore different topics that are designed to help you enhance your financial knowledge and achieve your goals. And today, I am joined by Roman Fox, our Learning and Development Specialist here at Education Credit Union. He brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table, and a little bit more about him. For the last 12 years, Roman has worked in various capacities at Education Credit Union. Currently, he is a Learning and Development Specialist and a certified financial coach, and his passion lies with guiding members and team members into personal and professional growth. Roman finds fulfillment in helping others unlock their potential and achieve their goals, and I am so glad to have you join us on the podcast
happy to be here.
today.
Thank you.
So you just traveled on a budget, which I think is perfect for this conversation.
Super convenient timing. My kids and I surprised my wife with her 30th, oh, sorry for saying her age on camera, 30th birthday and our 10-year anniversary. We went to Denver, Colorado, and it was a blast. So yeah, super fresh on the mind, so happy to be here.
Very good. So let's get to some other numbers other than your wife's age. What are some tips for planning a budget for a trip without sacrificing quality? So many people want to take a trip and they want to save money, but sometimes when you think of saving money, you think of doing less fun stuff.
It's a good point.
So from choosing destinations, booking flights, how do people have the best, most cost-effective experience?
Yeah, that is a good point, right? I think everyone wants to have their dream vacation with just like $5 to spend. And there is a lot of tips and tricks out there, and just some of the stuff that our family has kind of experienced through the years. If we do fly, typically we'll do like one big trip a year, which is what most people do. And we are obsessed with national parks, so we always try to find a national park on the way, which can be challenging because some parks are just out in the middle of nowhere, like Big Bend. It's literally just in the middle of the desert.
It's almost like it's a park.
It's almost like it's a park. That's very good. And so we have to travel like an hour and a half to get to the park. So we're kind of limited. But anyways, we like to plan as far in advance as possible, as much as we can. And typically what we do at the end of the year, we start planning for our next year's trip.
So it's collaborative?
Yes, most of them are collaborative. I don't always surprise my wife. I'm not that good of a husband. I try to be. Anyways, we'll start planning it out, and just as early as we can. And typically what we do is we just start off with a big wish list. What's our number one? What's the must-have? Of course, it's national parks. And now that we have little kiddos we're traveling with, it's been even more exciting kind of watching them experience the fun stuff, and much more exciting traveling with them. That has also been a fun challenge. Planning out far in advance and then also saving up for those trips can be big, right? Taking those on the whim trips are totally fun and fine, but maybe just to like Lubbock or Palo Duro Canyon or Oklahoma City, like the big trips need to be planned out.
Absolutely.
And so we start off with what's our must-haves, and then we just kind of work our way back. How much time do we have? Are there other events we're looking at this year?
Coordinating days off.
It's another thing too. Coordinating days off is a big one. Kind of some of the tips we've learned is we kind of travel in packs. So we have some good friends and family that are also taking their trips in the same time. We're lucky enough our kids aren't in school yet, so we're not stuck to the school calendar.
Ooh, nice.
So we travel in packs, and we'll just rent an Airbnb together, and it's big enough we can have our own space, but it saves on cost for lodging for sure.
Absolutely. So if you're traveling with like a group of friends or family, splitting in the cost of an Airbnb versus everybody getting their own individual hotel rooms, or even traveling like in their own cars. Do y'all caravan? Are y'all flyers?
Oh, Lord, no. We travel in our own cars. I love my friends dearly, but 6-hour drive with 2 kids under 3 is enough. Is enough.
You don't want to put that on
nice
strangers.
To have more help, and maybe food for thought next time. Just rent a big passenger van. But no, traveling in packs is good, and we like to eat, obviously. So whenever we travel, we will eat out like once a meal for a day, and the other 2 meals we'll cook.
Nice.
So we'll go to a grocery store. We're big fans of Trader Joe's. So we'll just load up at a Trader Joe's.
That was my next
question.
Rather, like, do you try like a local grocery store? Or do you go with like a chain you can trust?
If there's a local, like those are kind of fun. Like I went to a Piggly Wiggly the first time.
Oh, how fun.
That was really exciting. It's really fun. There's some really fun ones. Wawa, that's a good one.
I've never been to a Wawa, but I've heard of it.
So anyways, those could be fun. Added to the adventure, right?
Yeah.
But no, we stick to Trader Joe's. It's always good. We know what we like.
And then you have like that one restaurant. So you kind of sort of, once you get there, you sort of take side of like the local color, like what's a good local place to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
in Denver, we were staying in, it's called Arvada, which is a suburb outside of Denver. There's this really pretty, it's called Old Town Arvada. Highly recommend it. There's just super walkable restaurants and shops, and there's all these like great like pubs and bars if that's your thing, pizza joints, good like German stuff. So there's all like really cool stuff.
So you take the temperature and then everybody kind of votes like, oh, we'll try this.
Typically day one, we'll just pig out and we'll go, okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. And then we'll just kind of keep it consistent.
Nice.
So that's kind of what we found.
Now, how do travelers make like the most of deals and discounts, especially as travelers? I'm sure you get like the emails and the spam, and we see all the advertisements.
Yeah, it's
so
everywhere.
how do you take advantage of those? Like, are there like, how do you take advantage of those to sort of reduce the cost of accommodations? Are there coupons you get, or there that sort of encourage you to travel at certain times? Or
Well, there's a lot of things that for expenses that are involved in traveling, not just lodging and gas and airplanes. Like for us, it's a great app called Ibotta. It's a rebate online cashback, and so you can.
used Ibotta for years.
We should be paid so often. we are pushing this. They're really great company, but it's just like rebates, old school coupons, but now it's on an app. And so we just scan our receipt, or it's a digital receipt, and they'll give us cash back and things like that.
Nice.
And so every time we've traveled, we've used our cashback rewards in forms of Starbucks gift cards.
Nice.
So we don't spend a dime on coffee when we travel because all of our Ibotta deals come back from in forms of Starbucks. So like simple things like that save money because, obviously we need coffee to survive, my Lord. So we, it's easier for us just to kind of swing by and get a Starbucks on the way, or if we're traveling. So that's a small expense we don't have to worry about. So we use kind of throughout our grocery trips and everything, we just use Ibotta for that. The other thing too is credit cards are really great for rewards points and things like that, cash back. I do hesitate opening lots of credit cards. So if you're just doing one big trip and travel, maybe that airline credit card's not the biggest deal if you only travel once in your life on an airplane.
Yes.
Like my in-laws fly all the time, so they have the Southwest and they use their points pretty often.
Points traveling.
So points traveling is really great. Cashback's awesome. And then one thing we've recently found out is most big cities will kind of have a city pass or something you can purchase, which is like the local metro. But you get discounts at zoos, aquariums, museums. So that's what we did in Denver. We went to the Denver Zoo. There's a really great, actually I think it's called the Denver Children's Activity Center, Science Center. It's really great. And so we just purchased the pass. I mean, it was like $60, but we got free. Kids got to go on that little rail metro thing at Denver. That was kind of fun. And you get deals. And so a lot of times just researching, I know that's kind of the boring stuff.
Or like sifting through your spam for something that's like a legitimate deal.
Absolutely. And peers. Yes. Hey, you traveled there before. What were some of the things you found out to save money?
When you do see that on social media of like, hey, we're going to such and such where, what are things that I have to do while I'm there?
Yes, the infamous vloggers and influencers. They serve a purpose for sure.
What are some strategies for sort of sticking to the budget? So, you're mapping out your gas, where you're going to stay for your Airbnb. And even if you are using something like a credit card, you might have, if you have like a small credit card that you just use for travel, we're going to max this out and then pay it off through the year and then max it up the next year or whatever.
Right.
But then once you get there, there's going to be fun stuff to see. There's going to be things to buy. So how do you sort of stick to the budget, or what do you give yourself an allowance for getting souvenirs?
Yeah, that's actually really good. My wife and I have been together for a long time, and we have learned to be realistic. Whenever you sit down with your budget, you're always really like, I'm only going to spend this much money when I go to shop. I buy coffee mugs. I have an addiction. And so I'm not going to not buy coffee mugs. And so that's just kind of something we've had to learn. It's just budget that into
it. It's the know yourself.
That is absolutely.
And with financial coaching, we've had this conversation
100%.
with people that we've coached. You have to know yourself. And if you know that you're going to buy the coffee mug, then don't argue with yourself and don't cause yourself the stress of don't buy the coffee mug. But,
buy the dang mug.
Separate $5 at some point, 2 months before your trip, and this $5 is for the coffee mug. And so,
like you said, allowances, we kind of give. I have an allowance. My wife and I have learned to separate our allowances because we spend our money on two different things. So my wife has an allowance, I have an allowance, and then we have an allowance for our kiddos. They have plenty of toys, so we don't buy them all that stuff. But really, the allowance is more just like experiences.
Yes.
Like, let's go to the aquarium. Like, hey, we'll pay the extra $20 to pet the stingrays. Really fun, by the way. Kind of that stuff. Just be realistic with yourself. A lot of the principles are the same in your own personal financial literacy journey. Setting those expectations, sticking with it. Cash is a good thing to have, but we typically try to stick with our credit cards. And just because cash can be so... you're in a new place. You don't really know where you're going. And so that could be a little extra stress having a couple $100 on you.
On your person. And plus, credit cards can be pretty forgiving for like fraudulent charges or things like that.
It's not tied to your savings.
Rather than compromising your debit card or maybe losing it at that gas station between here and there, traveling with a credit card that can sort of get you out of a tight spot if you get in one is sort of beneficial.
And we do carry enough cash to get us through a day if we need to.
Yeah.
Get us to an ATM or something like that and figure it out. But definitely focus on using the credit card more than your debit or cash, just because exactly like you said. And you don't know what gas pump you're sticking that card into or tapping it. It could get lost. You can get stolen. And
compromised in some way.
pretty good at that these days. So keep yourself informed.
So are there any other like traveling tips? Like traveling, and you've mentioned it, and traveling on a budget sort of, you mentioned that it mirrors your personal financial literacy journey. So I think for those people, especially as financial coaches, I think for those people who maybe struggle with a monthly budget or a sort of how to get our household finances in order.
Right.
Plan a vacation, create a budget around a vacation that gives you sort of practice, even if you don't get to implement that budget or actually go on that vacation. But if you want to practice
that's
financial
really good.
planning, create a vacation. And then
That's a great intro into budgeting and
and then it
planning.
becomes a great financial goal to have as you get yourself out of whatever financial situation
And we
you're
look
in.
forward to it. I mean, we had a couple of siblings get married and people graduating. So those are kind of those vacation trips we have to take, but we make the most of it and planning and just scheduling that out as far in advance, taking advantage of the time you have.
I was about to say, and taking advantage of those things that, you know, you want to celebrate your family. You want to be there for the graduations
Absolutely.
and the weddings and the what have yous. But at the same time, they can sort of feel like obligations. So if you can sort of maximize your time traveling to whatever random city or place, then that can be its own sort of vacation.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to add?
The last thing this is kind of my personal philosophy, is just have fun. Like a budget should free you up to have fun. It should free you up to do what you want to do and accomplish those goals. Traveling, it can be very stressful, especially with children. It can be stressful in general, really. But the planning is kind of part of the process. And we get really excited when we plan for the future because it's something to look forward to. And we're kind of mindful of that as we're, hey, should I go out to Whataburger? Well, probably not. We probably should keep that in there because we're going to California this year.
Well,
or
and
we're
you
going to Denver.
know just as well as I do that talking about having those conversations with your kids in front of your kids,
Absolutely.
it teaches them that financial planning. It teaches them like, hey, we're not going to do Whataburger tonight because remember, in 3 weeks we're going to Denver. We're going to such and such where, 100%. And so it teaches them that sort of delayed gratification too, setting that really positive example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Roman. You are
this was
amazing.
great conversation.
Thank you for
and
sharing
thank
your
you for having
time
me
and
on.
expertise.
Yeah.
Yes, your insights have been very valuable. I know.
I think I need to travel more so you can have me back on and we can talk more about the traveling. It's a challenge I'm willing to accept.
Thank you so much for your service.
Yes, absolutely.
And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Remember, new episodes of The Core drop the first Friday of every month on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And with that, we will see you next time on The Core.